Good. Hey, how you doing? This is Spirit Journey, and yes, I'm live. I haven't done a live shooting in a couple of weeks. So today is Wednesday, January 17th, and it's about 2:36 p.m. I want to talk about some topics today. They're all kind of on the same theme, and I kind of a little heavy-hearted about it. All this stuff that you hear about on the media lately. Well, yeah, I got up today. I felt, well, like I leave my uh device, what do you call it? My notepad next to me, and I leave it on. And so when I woke up, I saw, like, some of the thumbnails news that was, on the air. And I saw a video, regarding the Hollywood pedophilia type of stuff. And I watched this one movie, I mean, I'm sorry, video regarding some of the people that knew, like this one person who has come out about the allegations that he was molested as a child. And so watching those videos, and it just got me thinking about a lot of stuff. And it really hit close to home how it made me feel emotionally. So that's basically what I want to talk about. And let me see here. I just wrote down some quick notes about everything, but basically I'm just going to really wing it what I'm going to talk about, basically how it made me feel. But before I forget, that the while I was eating my lunch, I just finished eating my lunch, or I should say brunch, even though it's after 2:30 p.m. I heard about the latest incident about the Turpin family of out in California, in Paris, California. It's in Southern California, and allegedly 13 children. Well, some adults, and like half of them adults and half of them children by age. But this family, they're all supposed to be the biological children of Mr. and Mrs. Turpin, and the parents were arrested for child abuse and even what they call torture. So I want to say right up front, my my heart goes out to those children and adults who were victimized by their own blood. My heart goes out to them. And it's reminding me of a problem that exists in this country. This is one of the richest countries in the world. And to hear that you have looks like a middle class family. They live in a really attractive suburban neighborhood, and you would never know that something like this could happen in a so-called nice looking community. We've heard of kids being abused by their parents, and they usually show someone from a poor socioeconomic background. But here you have parents that live in a very nice middle class neighborhood, and these poor children. The age range of these children were from the age of 2 to actually 29. And it was either a 14 or 17-year-old daughter who escaped by climbing out the window. And she had taken one of the parents' cell phones and called 911 for help, or whatever number they used to get the authorities over there. And the parents were arrested, and they said that some of them were chained to a bed and were, the smell of the place was horrible. And my heart goes out to them. So just, to even be able to give a prayer regarding, on behalf of those adults and children who were victimized. So I just really wanted to get that out the way because that's the last thing I heard about just while I was eating my brunch. So basically, what I want to talk about is, well, I guess the first thing was what led me to initially want to do a video is my. I'm sorry, I have a little dog here. Okay, yeah, yeah. That regarding the Hollywood pedophilia, and you had someone. The video that I was watching was someone who knows um, some of these Hollywood people, the kids. I'm sorry, let me go and look. Okay, I'm sorry. And the friend of one of the people, what's his name again? Corey Feldman was the person that they were referring to, and the whole, that industry. But in particular, they were talking about him because the guest on this radio show that's aired on YouTube was discussing his personal experience. I wish I could remember the name of the person. I should have wrote that down. I apologize for that. But the person is just a little older than Corey Feldman, and he's from the East Coast, from New Jersey. He did some commercials, um, some movies, and when he became an adult at the age of 18 or 19, he heads out by himself to California, and he got introduced to the mainstream Hollywood. Again, he wasn't raised in Hollywood. He's from the East Coast, and everything was done locally. His parents drove him to appointments and back. He went to schools there in New Jersey, and so now his real submersion in the Hollywood culture was at the time he became an adult. And he mentioned that about a club that catered to young kids that was discussed in the whole melee regarding the pedophilia out in Hollywood. And in his experience, again, he's a little older. He wasn't he was already of age. He was 18, 19 years of age, which is an adult. So, but he said that he personally never witnessed anything like that. But he did mention that at some point, another mutual friend, the other Corey, I forget his name, but it's two Corys. One is Feldman, and then it's the other one, Hum. I think his name is Hum, and no, Lame or Hum, and he mentions that he some of the things that happened to him in Hollywood, but it wasn't the names of the people that Feldman talked about. But he said, yes, his friend did confide in him and shared certain things that happened to him, but it was never the names of the people that Corey Feldman mentioned. But my mention this part of the story is what he later said, the guest speaker who knows both Corys, something to the effect that, I'm sorry, I start to lose my train of thought, but oh, well, he didn't. He again. He never experienced it, and he felt that. Why is he bringing out the information now? And it seemed like he had a problem. He was concerned about it, about the validity. And I'm sorry. I guess in sure he starts. The friend is really wondering what his motive and everything about, but it triggers a memory in me about, I remember that sometimes things might happen to people, and like if some things were going on, how come it wasn't discussed there? And believability. And I said to myself, well, sometimes people may be in shock. And I remember, like, see, things that happened to me. I'm not in any Hollywood anything. I'm just a regular person. But I did share on my channel certain things that happened to me growing up. Um, and it kind of like, so I'm just looking down at something. Um, what could make what could make someone who is going through things, whether they're being beaten or molested or raped or starved, whatever, what could make someone stay with that person? And with me, like recently, well, maybe it was about a year ago. Again, I apologize if I'm a little bit all over the place, but about a year ago, a so a family member had called me, and it was a surprise call. I think it was in the late morning or early afternoon. I was still in bed actually, and the person had said that they loved me and that they finally believed me. Now I had in prior video mentioned that I had to call authorities against a family member for molestation and possessing uh, child pornography. And I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I made that call. Um, I made the call like things this person had perpetrated me, but when I found out that they violated another person, a young person, uh, I felt, well, I know what happened to me. And when this person shared with me what happened to them, I felt that I needed to share what I knew. And I felt this person who violated our trust, our bodies, that I wanted them to stop. And I feared that this person would hurt other children. And so I eventually contacted the authorities, but I'm not going to go all in that. In past videos I did discuss that already. But the point I want to bring out is that when what makes somebody who's alleges a violation and is staying, the family member who contacted me to say that that they love me and that they believe me now of my allegations. See, the person thought, well, how could that have happened? Because the person drove you to school. And this is what they're telling me. But like at that time, it was a time period between the abuse and then the time when I asked this person to drive me. For one, I didn't have resources. I was a teenager still, and it was to go away for school. And I had belongings to bring up there. And again, I didn't know how to drive or anything like that. And I guess I didn't feel an immediate threat. And again, I thought what had happened, that it happened at that time and not in my old, later years. And I thought maybe it was just for whatever reason that happened, that he did that to me. And time went on. And again, you have to live in the same household. And the person eventually moved out. And so I thought, well, maybe that's the thing in the past. Maybe he's transformed. So the person did drive me to school. But the person that's calling me now, a year ago, saying, well, we didn't believe you when you called the authorities regarding the molestation. And anyway, he so and so drove you to school. So, you're a liar. You're just trying to get him in trouble. And I said to this individual, I said, I've never lied to you about anything, but you're calling me now and you're telling me that because of that, someone driving someone to school, And that was his logic. That's what he told me. And I felt badly about it. And so when I was watching the thing about um, the Hollywood pedophilia and a friend discussing this other person in Hollywood, this Feldman person who's now coming out in the media and giving guest appearances about things that happened to him and some things they may not really believe with him now, what's motivating him. So it hit me close to home that it was something that the friend was saying about the disbelief. Why now? That's what triggered me. And I think what triggered me to decide I want to do a video based on that, about disbelieving someone and things that could go on in somebody's mind who might be victimized by someone. You know, you even have adults. You have husband and wives, and one of the spouses is abusing the other spouse. Let's say you have kids involved. And so let's say that what the usual scenario is that the male of the house is beating up the female, and then you have kids involved. There's fear, there's intimidation, there's what would the neighbors think, because we're supposed to have this image and everything. And even in my household, I thought, you know, we have to have an appearance of looking good. We had to outwardly be well behaved and polite with everybody, but things could be going on, you know? And so the same here with what happens in many families. You don't want people to know because of the shame involved. And I felt shame growing up. All my life, I always had this shame. I didn't talk to anyone at that time when it was going on. It's something that you don't talk about, especially in Black neighborhoods or West Indian neighborhoods. You don't discuss that. But it turns out a lot of us in these communities are faced with physical abuse, molestation, sexual abuse, you know, all those things, and a lot of intimidation too. I think with me, it was more intimidation that was happening. And again, your mind, to cope, your mind, I think with me, my mind stayed very young. And like I always wanted to move out, but the fear about the so-called real world was very frightening to me. At least where I lived, it's the only life I knew. It's the only thing I knew. And I always felt inadequate, that I couldn't do things. And it was hard to hold down a job. So there's a financial component to it. Because if you leave and if you lose a job, the fear of being homeless, and I've had been homeless before, and I shared that in earlier videos. So what do you do? So you just pretend nothing is happening. Um, I've even shared one time, like, I told someone in my house, I said, please don't leave me alone in the house with this person. And the person kind of like smirked and said, oh, you're just sensitive. I said, please do not leave me home alone with this person. May I go out with you? And the person didn't do that. And years later, I talked to this person about it, that I asked for help. And guilt. The person responded, oh, well, you didn't talk loud enough. And it's just me and that other person in the room. But again, it's denial. And the person is saying, is making excuses. So even if this person in Hollywood shared this information, some people won't want to receive the information or want to believe them, or again, make excuses. That happens a lot. So what do you do? Because I did cry out for help. And in those days, you know, you really don't discuss things like that with teachers. I was afraid of my teachers because the teachers back then used to beat us. Yes, you had teachers who had these steel rulers. They used to beat you with it. And I've gotten hit on my hand with one of those rulers, but that's how it was like then in the 1970s, that the school system was very strict, and you better obey the teachers, and that all teachers and all authority are you supposed to listen to, even when they do things wrong. That was the mindset back then. So again, you have to also understand about the era of the time when certain abuses go on, because no one wanted to discuss it. And so you just keep quiet. And in some areas, it's about making the neighborhood look good, having a well-kept lawn and things like, all surfacey type of things. So even like in the story that I had mentioned in the beginning of this video, the Turpin family. Now, this was, in my opinion, was a really nice looking house, at least outwardly. And the lawn in the front, it looked compatible with their neighbors and everything. And I felt like, wow, what an illusion. And then they had Mickey Mouse ornaments, Mickey Mouse or something like that, the Hollywood cartoon characters up, in the backyard. And it's made to look like it's child friendly. What do you think? You see the little, what do you call it? Not Walt Disney. I said Hollywood, but I meant to say Walt Disney characters. So it's like another illusion. And that's also why I'm doing this video, because it's about the illusions that I lived in. My mind was trapped in these illusions, even as an adult. And that slowly and slowly, these traumas that you hear in the media is slowly chipping away the illusions of what your neighbors are doing, what your school is doing, what the government is doing. Everything's supposed to be ideal. Everyone's supposed to be happy. Everyone's supposed to have nice shoes and clothing and just have a front about the things that are going on. So again, I'm growing up, you're trapped in this. You don't know, you really don't know what's reality. But your reality is really based on what's going on in your house and television. I was raised on television and all that illusion. And I'm trying to break out of this illusion about certain type of families and households. Here, this Turpin family is a white family, and then they live in a nice looking neighborhood. All that what Hollywood growing up in the 70s, 60s and 70s showed. Remember the Brady Bunch, how ideal it looked? So that was the mindset. And that's what they wanted you to believe, that nothing like that of the Turpin family kids' trauma was about. They never discussed anything about abuse on television back then in the 60s and early 70s. Not at all. So I feel for those kids. And here, so the illusion in your neighborhood. He had a family that everything outwardly looked like okay and family friendly. And so this is by design. Again, I don't know this family. I don't know the Turpin family. I'm just learning about them not too many hours ago. But here, I don't know how long they lived in this neighborhood, but no one knew that they even had that many kids in that house. Some of the people saw some of the, I think they said 4 kids were out in the back, but at 9 p.m. at night. So things are being hidden, and it shows the trickery of the people in charge in that house, and in this case, the parents, and that they locked them in there. And again, they were only able to go out. It's at one time someone saw after, daylight hours. So no one would ask questions. So the secret had to be maintained. Everybody's thinking everything's rosy. I know I thought things were rosy. Who would have thought a middle-class white family would have tortures like this? I was a teenager still in the 1980s. And I remember the the things that you saw on TV started to intensify about different groups. A lot of blacks back then in the early 80s and the late 70s were depicted as, abusers of their children and violence and gang war and things like that. Fast forward, now you have the Turpin family and the horrors that happen. And I think things are really going to be coming out even more so now about these illusions of families that you thought had it together, that were supposedly a good family. Remember, it was a couple of years ago. Was that 2 years ago? It was another family. I don't know what state it was from, but they're actually two families. They had maybe 18 children or 16 children, something that big a number. They're both white families. And then something came out that one of this, I think it was the oldest son, um, it was reported that molested at least two of their sisters. And the guy just responds that he had done something inappropriate. So, but it's something um, with these two families. They were like Christian families, and they were both families were homeschooled. They both families actually know each other, and I I I remember feeling like back then I was still a Christian, and I was still attending church. But I was feeling emotional. I said, "Oh, I wish I had lived in a happier family," and a little pity party, wishful thinking, and oh, it would have been great to be homeschooled because the school I went to public schools, and it did have a lot of violence and fighting in the school. So again, that idealization and that those falsehood, believing in this illusion of these families and how happy and they must be, oh, they're nice and old fashioned. I was taught being old fashioned is a good thing to be, things like that. But then, hey, it turns out, oh, I remember when I saw that the number of kids that they had. I'm from a large family, but half of the amount. I'm not from a family of 18 kids, not at all. But yeah, but I'm considered to be from a large family in today's standards. But I remember initially I felt a little uncomfortable when I learned of how many kids they had, and I'm thinking, I wonder did anyone get molested? Because the kids had to almost be the parent for the younger siblings. That the older siblings were in charge of X number of kids. Like let's say kid number X uh, was in charge of maybe the three younger ones than him, and so on and so on. You know what I'm saying? And something, oh wow, when you have a kid in charge of another kid, things could happen. That's what I said to myself, and I felt a little scared. I have to be honest, because I'm thinking, hey, did something happen to any of those girls? And then yeah, it came out that at least with this one fellow, it was said that he uh, had molested at least two of his sisters. And that's just that one person that got caught. What about the other siblings? So, so again, it's chipping away the illusions that I was raised up to believe that, only so-called people of color had problematic families like that. But, you know, life is showing me. And so I appreciate that life is now opening the gate and for me to see slowly what life really is about, what can happen in life. And all the make believe of Hollywood is around. Um, yeah, what another thing, just look at my notes here. Um, yeah, one thing like kids are considered property. Yeah. And I felt like that growing up. I didn't have any rights, especially in West Indian families. From a Caribbean background myself, you didn't have rights. You did what you were told. If you don't follow the rules, whatever, you'll get hit big time. Yeah. So let's say you're in Hollywood, and you're a kid in Hollywood, and you're making money for this family. There was and I remember that there was a law that was passed, the Coogan law. There was, you ever hear of the show The Little Rascals? Well, that show, one of the characters, one of the kids in that movie, he he never had access to his money. His family took all his money. He had no saving when he became an adult and was old enough to manage his own finances. There was no money for him. So a law was passed to protect children, performers, people who, worked in these industries, to that X amount of money supposed to be held aside for that child so that when they became adults. So, but still, in the meanwhile, the kids may not have any real rights. They have to do what they're told, bring money home to the family. And, you don't want people to know, because if someone finds out, that maybe you won't get any more TV roles or movie roles. And if they make, let's say maybe the parents aren't abusing the kids, but maybe the people in charge of, in Hollywood, the directors or publicists, things like that. Maybe people have access to those kids. That, hey, if you tell on me, you won't get any TV roles, and maybe your family's relying on you to bring in the money. So it really has to be, something has to be done so that kids could really speak out in safety, because it seems like it's a lot of control. And that's what I'm learning now about control. That how do people control? Well, fear and guilt. You know, those are biggies: fear and guilt. And there's something also that I want to talk about with regard to uh, about control and everything. But I'll talk about that later. But it's still in the thought about Hollywood and pedophilia and everything, or what the neighbors, what's happening with the neighbors and everything. Um, there's another thing to consider about family. What about that? What if with the Turpin family, let's say they have relatives and stuff. Maybe they didn't want, people choose sides. Let's say it's just something between the parents, and they're both well liked by other family members or friends. Maybe they're part of a large community and they're well liked. And if you let a scandal come out, they'll break up their friendships, and they want to keep that social structure. They want to have their friends to socialize, because again, we're social individuals. We may have our immediate family, but then there's that social family or extended families that you're really tied to. And so again, you're afraid to speak out. And again, the money issue. And some women might be afraid to speak out because how they're going to survive. They might be what they call old school, that the man stay at home and the wife take care of the kids. It could be something like that. Or maybe she doesn't have an education, and so she may not really have marketable skills, or the skills that she does have. They won't be able to support a family, especially a family of 13 kids. And they may feel pride and may not want to go on public assistance because the shame of that. But any of you who are watching this and may have a lot of kids or something, Don't be ashamed to go on food stamps or public assistance. It's there for you to use it if you need it. If you need it, use it. You know. Um, yeah, I talked about the social stability, but there was something else I wanted to talk about with regard to families who have a lot of children and they might be homeschooling. I felt when I first heard about this case, regarding the Turpin children, and that they didn't go to public school. They allegedly were homeschooled. I was thinking, oh my goodness, I hope they don't use this incident as a means of crushing all homeschooling. Yeah, that came through my mind. That that came through my mind. I said, "Oh my God," because people could take an event and exploit it and make it so that no one could homeschool their kids again. It wasn't homeschooling that got these poor children, the Turpin children, in this situation. It's their sicko parents. Okay, you have to focus on what the issue is. The issue is not homeschooling. The problem is these parents who have a problem. They have a power issue, and yeah, and some people said that there was a religion or something. You just got some crazy or just freako parents out there. We all went to school. Many of us went to school, public school, and you meet some of the parents and the siblings or whatever, and you see some of them just, they got a screw loose. You have people who are just, everybody knows there's something weird with certain households. But I hope they don't blame it on homeschooling and pass laws that would be designed to really infiltrate families so that you really can't homeschool your kids. So that was something I wanted to discuss. Yeah, that's an issue. Okay. But going further with me personally growing up, that when this family member called me and told me, yeah, there was something else I wanted to say that I made mention of this in a past video. I'm pretty sure of it. But the person called me and said, I remember something that I want to talk to you about. And again, I really don't hear from this individual, but they say, uh, growing up, I remember that at one point that I saw this family member sneak upstairs in your room at 12 and between 12, midnight and 1 o'clock, and was in your room for a while. And at that time, he was saying that I had my own room at that time. One thing it made me uncomfortable because it's like how I felt. I thought this person was dumping on me. Okay. It's like, because the person that he said went into my room, this person is no longer alive. And for them to, this other family to tell me this, it's like, why tell me now? Why tell me after all these years that you see this? And this person, I felt angry. Like I was like shocked. And it's like, if you see all this, I don't remember how long he said that he saw this going on, how many days or years, whatever. But it answers a lot of questions with myself. Like, I used to wake up because I felt someone, like I was being attacked, like someone was grabbing my ankles and pulling on them. And I remember one time when it happened, I said, I'm going to turn around real fast and to see who's doing this. But each time, no one was there. No one. So I think what was happening there is what they call body memory. Sometimes when a trauma happens to you, and I guess according to the severity of that attack, your mind shuts down and it freezes, and amnesia. You You don't remember a thing. You don't remember the attack. And so it could be that. But what I'm angry about or irritated about is that so you have someone and he sees something going on, and this person has told me that they didn't believe me in a prior conversation, that they thought I was lying about the individual that I called the authorities on, even though everything was there when the police came and everything was substantiated. But this person is still telling me, I didn't believe you. And I never lied to this person. Why would you not believe me? Why support this person even when the authorities are telling you, yes, he had uh, the child pornography, and about the other victim who was interviewed. I have no reason to make up something like this. So it's like, man, and his reason, well, so and so drove you to school before, so you must be lying. So again, sometimes people are stuck into certain living situations because you don't have power. Even adults, wives that are older and they have kids, they are trapped. You have to do the best you can, but and then he's telling me, well, yeah, now I believe you. He didn't believe me before. He saw what was going on. He's not a dummy. He's exactly when you're over your teen years and you see someone sneaking into a woman's room, a female's room. What do you think was going to happen? So I'm shocked with that individual, and because earlier that's what really fueled my anger to want to do this video. But like since the time that when that came to my mind, and I had breakfast and I had something to eat, so I mellowed out a little bit because maybe my sugar was a little low. When you hungry, whatever, your blood sugar's low, you might be a little cranky. But really, this is what's going through my mind. You know, Someone says they don't believe you, but yet growing up, they see all these things happen, and they may even verbally abuse this person because of their own issues. And even though the evidence was there, the authorities said X, Y, and Z, and this person also allowed this other person access to these children that I was trying to protect. And that's what pissed me off again. It pissed me off. Even though they saw all these things and the police said X, Y, and Z, and then you're going to bring in these kids to see this pervert. So I'm angry about that. I'm angry. But so I'm sharing this because of the dynamics, the family dynamics of some family units, that what could be going on. You have people living in denial. You have people who they have their own issues, their own traumas, and rather than dealing with their own traumas, they take it on somebody else, someone smaller than them, younger than them, weaker than them. So they won't deal with their own issues. So I hope this other individual will learn to deal with their own issues, their own demons, because the only thing that's happening now, they're just pointing finger at other people rather than the things that they personally done growing up. So that's all that I have to say about that. And I think it's important to hear so that anyone who's watching this, I don't think my family is any different than many of your families, I'm thinking. And I share this because I want the shame to come out. I don't want to walk in shame, and I don't want the viewers that are watching this to be in shame about things that might have happened to them that they still may feel traumatized about. We're not alone. We're not alone. And this family, the Turpin family, is just the tip of the iceberg. I think there are a lot of families that are probably like this in hindsight, I'm thinking. Yep, they know how to have a nice lawn. They know how to have the nice hairdos, everything, the whole illusion. And it looks wonderful. They go, maybe they eat out, they go to the best um, shopping malls, to be seen or to see other people. Yeah. And I started asking myself, well, what's causing all this problem? Why do we do what we do? And whether we like it or not, I'm thinking more and more of this occult stuff that's happening about this future disclosure, the disclosure about the what they call the what do you call it? The secret space program. And this secret space program, that there's technologies that are being hidden, cloaked from us. I'm sorry, that's being cloaked from us, and we it is for a reason, because it's a time and a season for anything. And it's a time and season for evil people to take control. See, I think everything that we see on television or everything we see in the news is all happening for a reason. And because they have a time schedule of when they want to release certain things or how much trauma to put on a society. So then now they're going to ask for relief to protect us. And I think what's coming up is the disclosure about what they call the extraterrestrial theme and the secret space program. Because they're saying with the secret space program that you have people who are being kidnapped. Hear that word again, kidnapped. Children and women who are being raped, sold into slavery, sex slavery, or having to do certain tasks, or to be soldiers. But you're not free. You're a soldier, a slave who is a soldier. And they have, some of the people said that they have what they call these collars, these electric collars around their neck, to, like, if they try to escape, they get zapped. And all these other things are controlled because, again, you have a lot of technologies and they don't want you to know about it because they want to have it for themselves so that they can use it at their leisure against you. And that's what I think what's happening. But slowly and surely, the tip of the iceberg is slowly being chipped away, along with this space program slash ET program slash the, what is that other one? Well, I forget the technology name, but it's a technology where they use holograms up in the sky and they can make it look 3D. And some people are even suggesting that with the 9/11 thing, that the September 11th, when the Twin Towers got attacked with those planes, some people are saying that it may not have been a physical plane and that it was actually a hologram and that missiles were used to cause that damage. And then these devices are planted within the structure of the Twin Towers. It's a possibility. And I shared an earlier video that I did last year about this same holograph technology. They had these little animals and one was jumping up in the, like a giant whale coming up and splashing down. And this other large animal, it was like a feline of some type, real big animal. And you only realize that it was fake when a little child ran through the thing and you see it ran through it. And he said, oh my God, it looked real. Yes, it did. It looked real. I would not have known. And so you have these technologies. Again, it's about control, controlling up here. So that once you control here, you can control what the person does with their hands and feet. You can direct their path to do exactly what you want them to do. So you don't need the shackles of the 1500s, 16, 1700s, the shackles on their ankles and their wrist and their throat. You don't need it anymore. The shackle is the mind control that they're doing. And that's the next thing I want to talk about. I wrote here like the control. Now, I mentioned earlier that this control, and I said via fear. Okay, fear is a big control, and addiction. And when you're able to control people, it's like I wrote about what they call the gerbil wheel, or hamster wheel. You ever see those hamsters that like it's a little wheel that the little hamster gets inside the wheel and they run, 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 and they don't go anywhere. It just goes around in circles, and the thing is running, running, running. It's so stressed out. This little gerbil or hamster is so stressed out, and the only thing they can do is go on this wheel, and they'll get some exercise, but it's stress, and they just go on this wheel. And I think the people who are in charge in this world, they have us like that gerbil, even though we're on this planet, but it's a one big wheel. We're not really getting anywhere, even with television, you what they call escapism. You look on the television and you feel like, you know, you're away, mentally. You get to see different countries or different activities, and it's an escapism for a couple of hours out of the day, something like that. But we're still going around in circles. And some of the fear out there is about money. And I wrote, and I did this in an audio tape. I'm going to publish right after this video is uploaded to YouTube. I did earlier today 2 audio tapes. So I don't want to really discuss all what those tape is about, but about how this cycle of fear, and one of the fears about money. A lot of people do things. So let's say some of these families in Hollywood that get into Hollywood, let's say that they don't really know anything else. Let's say they didn't do well in school. Some people aren't college, material. They're not interested in college. They can't sit down long enough and read a book, read a complicated material. They're more like physical people, sporty, things like that. They're expressive. They have an artistic ability, and so Hollywood appeals to them. Or singing, or dancing appeals to them. So they feel, well, I want some money. Hey, if it's opportunity doing this and make some good money, hey, maybe I do that. And then the fear of not having it, not having money. If you were to get fired today, what will you do to survive? A lot of companies are closing down. We all hear about this. Or let's say you get sick and you can't really function. You can't stand long. And what are you going to do to survive? Again, maybe it's a facade. Sorry, my little dog. I'm sorry. Let's say you want to live this particular lifestyle, and you're afraid to let other people know. It could be family members or some of your best friends, and you might feel ashamed to let them know what's going on. So people, when they're afraid, do things, and do things for this money. And so I link that money. Money is like a slave master. Money. And addiction also is a slave master too. I've met people who were addicted to substances, and a lot of them, they just can't stop. It's a physical. This drug has a physical control, and they'll do anything to maintain that. So these two things, addiction, life could be an addiction. What keeps the little system going. Because I'm thinking now, like, we weren't raised, you see animals, dogs, cats, bears, and, fish. You don't see them going to public school, learn how to get little, nuts, if you're a squirrel or something like that, how to live for the, during the winter months. You don't have this. But for whatever reason, human beings are, for whatever reason, is now trapped in this public schoolism, moneyism, and it's entrapping us. And I think this is the real slave master, the illusion of the power of money and addictions. And I think they really go hand in hand, you know. And this thing, I believe, was introduced to society. Society is not a natural phenomenon. I think society, as we call it, was imported into planet Earth as a means to control slash the royal families of Europe and also parts of Asia, that these families got a stronghold because, again, they say that the royal families were based on another being, what they call Anunnakis. And again, the book of Genesis about the uh, sons of man, referring to E.T., came upon the daughters of man regarding earthlings, and they begot children. And the royal family is supposed to be the descendants of these beings. And it's those people that introduce what they call society or civilization, whether a nation is civilized. Okay? And you notice these civilized nations are the ones that's creating the GMOs, the the chemtrails, um, the violation of this planet. Everything, producing so-called drugs or pharmaceuticals that actually kill people. Everything is reversed. These people, these beings are in control of all these the boards, the CEOs and the board members. They all seem to be in these top positions, and they get paid heavily. They get paid. And they continue the whole cycle of how to entrap mankind. And Hollywood is a big tool because, again, the illusion of wanting. I know as growing up, I always felt like wanting. Oh, I wish I lived in that type of house or those clothes. Oh, look at those schools they're going to. They got the sprawling lawns and everything, all this stuff. And it's a tool of the enemy to control how you think or how to think about other people out there, how to think about new immigrants. If they don't talk the same way like you do, or if they don't have the same religion, or let's create a war. And let's blame it on Muslims and Arab people, okay? And then let's get all this so that we can go over to someone else's country and take the resources, bomb their schools, their children that live in these places, and now they have no home. They're living out on the street. Something like that. That type of warfare it hasn't happened since the Civil War. But you go to Europe and Asia and Africa, you bet they know warfare. They have bombs. bullets. And yet some neighborhoods, they might have the gang warfare and stuff, but not buildings on being blown up. Not to the same degree, if you know what I'm getting at. But it's all about control. And you have the few, the minority who really is in control of the majority of people on this planet. And it's all about control and making you work. This is a prison planet. They have you on the little gerbil wheel, pedaling, 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 and you think you're going forward, you know? And it's really to get you in bondage. I feel like in bondage. And the more I think about it, it's like, well, what do I do with my life? How do I move forward? What's really important? And I started getting all into what they call YouTube. And I started to wonder, hey, even YouTube, they keep changing the rules, changing the rules. It's like I can never keep up. I like doing YouTube videos, but I'm reconsidering whether I want to continue monetization, via YouTube like that. I mean, to actually, have the, so that you can check off on your parameters with your channel whether you want to monetize or not. And I'm thinking seriously, I want to demonetize because I'm fed up with the game that I feel that is being played. They even say if you use certain words, and I shared with you on YouTube that they're like I was just riding a bike to a particular place, and they flagged it and said, oh, well, the monetization is not good for all advertisers. Look at that. So again, the advertisers and the companies out there are those who really control this planet, not you. Those are companies supposed to be catering to the needs of the people, of what your needs are, because that's what they're selling. Whether it's selling paint or homes, isn't it about you? No. They're not there to cater to your needs and wants. It's about how they want to control you with their products. And that I'm against. I have a problem with that. I just can't believe some of the things that are going on. So the corporations are the new masters to society. Because now, even, you thought you were free to do the YouTube videos, but now YouTube is saying, no, the corporations could put out anything they want to put out. Then I say, oh, corporation advertisers, that may not be appropriate for all viewers. But then they're going to talk to the YouTuber who puts out content. And so that may not be good for the advertiser. See that? See that? The companies are the masters over the YouTubers. Get that? I'm angry about that. I'm very, very angry about that. And I think for that reason alone, I think I might just demonetize. And if anything, I put up, hey, if those who want to donate to my channel, feel free to go, to do that. I don't want to do a video wondering who I'm going to offend, what advertiser I might offend, so that they won't monetize, advertise on my, on a particular video. I don't want that. So again, it's a form of slavery. It's a form of control. Okay, it's nothing around your neck or ankles or your wrists. But again, they're using money to hold you back. If I say and speak how I really feel, we won't pay you, right? That's what's happening. And I'm fed up. I'm fed up with it. Yeah, I think I might demonetize as my means of protest against the corporation. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of these corporations and that feeling like a little gerbil, just spinning around. Wouldn't you more want to know how to really live in freedom, to say just screw everything and live like how wildlife and nature, you don't see them really stressing. And if they're stressed, it's because people are stressing them out. I've seen videos. You see whales and fish, large fish that are coming aboard the beach and are dying there. Masses of them because of what people do. And you have people who want to control so much that they're putting toxins in the water. You have these nuclear power plants, and they're not letting people know what's going to happen, that it's going to affect anybody. And then now you have in Japan, in the area, kids that are born disformed. But all that radiation, it's gone to the Pacific, other parts of Asia. They're poisoning the planet. We got to stop it. I don't want to be dependent on this type of system. I love the idea of what they call living off the grid. This is our planet, and here we got to pay someone to live in our own home. For us to live in our own home, we got to pay someone that it doesn't even belong to them. But then again, it's about control. And the people who are in charge of this world system, it's a system out there. And you use that pyramid of control, and that pyramid of control, it's really the few that control the masses. And they're controlling us through illusions and fears. They implanted, again, money, and the other thing was addictions. And a lot of addictions are based on fear. Maybe they started doing drugs because they're afraid that they won't look cool in front of their friends, and then they get boom. And again, one thing with addiction is money, right? What do they buy? They buy the drug. They steal to get more money to buy the drug. So it's about generating this income system that every material good, it seems, whether it be furniture, clothes, shoes, whatever, food, is a material, and they rely on you to buy it to get the wheel going, the currency going. Money is a currency, and it flows and it flows, and it's flowing to somewhere. I wonder where the money is really flowing into. But one thing, like what you hear about these, what do you call it, drug running, and people who, like, what they call the war on drugs, that it has come out in some news footage that you have people high up in government who actually are running the drug system, the illicit drug system, and they want you to buy it. They put it in your neighborhood so you'll buy it, and then they throw you in jail, and then in jail, they can use your labor as slave labor. They don't have to pay you. So again, see that? Wouldn't it be something, I'm just getting a thought in my mind, wouldn't it be something that, like, you heard of the super soldiers and how they are able to kidnap people, even in their own homes, without people knowing, because they have this technology that they could abstract you. Wouldn't it be something that they do that in the prisons? Once someone's behind locked, their cages, wouldn't it be easy to use that same technology and get someone that's in the prison system? And then they can do what they call the 20-year and back. They could just abstract them. Let's say when the lights are out, they can randomly select somebody and bring them into this secret space program, a contract for 20 years, and then put them back. And so to them, they only look like they were away for maybe 10, 15 minutes. They can go forward or back in time. Wouldn't that be something? I got to ask someone that. Yeah, I'm going to be doing an interview with someone who was in the who was a super soldier, part of the secret space program. I'll let you guys know about it, when I'm going to air this, as it gets closer. But it'll be next month. It won't be this month, but the sometime during the end of February. But yeah, I think everything is tied in, and not knowing, keeping people in the dark about certain technologies, so you won't even perceive that something really wicked is going on. But I think with this family, the Turpin family, is a tip of the iceberg of all this family trauma events. You're going to find out what organizations they may belong to, whether they were ever working for the CIA or FBI, or they have family that was in it, because these ABC agencies seem to hire or recruit people who are related to one another, who are members. I have a feeling this thing's going to open up a whole big can of worms. I don't know, because you just wake up one day and say, I feel like doing this and that to my kids. Because they have these programs where they do mind control over people, and they could do things and as an experiment. Or maybe one went rogue and they broke away and then start doing this to the kids. It's going to come out. I hope it comes out. I hope all this makes, like a leak, like a tear in the fabric, so everything could just race through. The water could race through that crack, that tear, and this we call disclosure, a full disclosure in every sense of the word, so that families worldwide would get out of this bondage, stopping the human trafficking or abusing your kids and treating them like slaves and companies. This is not a natural system. This is an unnatural environment for all of us, and the planet is crying out. People are crying out. People are having a mental breakdown, and the program seems to be melting before our very eyes. Just imagine the people out there who from other countries, who I'm sure other countries are going to get the news regarding this event that happened in California, in Paris, California. You know it. It's going to come out. They're going to, wow, this is happening in America, the land of the free, because we're not free here. We have an illusion of being free, but I believe we all are its victims. And some of us are just happy participants. And that's even more sickening. So I know it's on a long time, but I I just felt really grieved and really troubled in my heart about everything. And I guess, before you get better, you might feel worse initially. And again, it's lifting up the veil and lifting up, you see, your eyes are blinking initially, and it might be paining you because the lights are shining in your eyes and you were in darkness for so long. Yeah, I was in darkness about a lot of things, most things, and that's also contributing to my feeling a little edgy, you know. But it's better to get it out, to deal with the pain, and do some prayers and meditation, and try to get recentered. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm going to um, load it up. And I um, I I wish all those family members from the I'm sorry, the Turpin family and families like that are around this, around the country and abroad. I wish you uh, peace, safety, and that body becomes strong and I just want the best for you guys. So those of you who are in situation, you have access to social media, let people know. Get it out. Expose wickedness. And they might hurt some of us for speaking out, but one thing, when everybody speaks out, you only have two hands. You know what I'm saying? And if hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of us, you can't capture it all. The culprits. Someone's going to leak through, and the right person is going to hear and take action. So I thank you again for watching this video, and please share it to those people you think that would like to see something like this. And you can comment below once it airs, and to subscribe to my channel. And thank you again. Peace to the whole world. Okay? Bye-bye.